Broadcasting live from Hollywood, California, this is Heaven with Vida on Dash Talk X.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl, Vida Guerra, and you're listening to Heaven with Vida, and with my co-host,
Rob Silver.
What's up, everyone? So in the last show, we were talking about the book, The Four Agreements. I hope you were able to listen to some of the stuff, maybe read the book, listen to some of the audio. So
should we update them a little bit on the first two?
Yeah, so if you're just tuning in for the first time and you missed the first show, The Four Agreements is a great book by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I first discovered this book back in 1999. And they say the four agreements, the first two that we first spoke about, first, be impeccable with your words. So speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using word to speak against yourself and to gossip about others. And use your power of word in the direction of truth and love.
Amen.
Right? And then number 2 was don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. Remember, nothing others do is because of you.
That's all right.
What others say and do is just a projection of their own reality and their own dream, whether it be a dream or a nightmare, whether it be heaven or whether it be hell.
Whatever it is, it's their own projection.
And the next one, when you're immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering.
Mm-hmm. And immune. I didn't pick up on that word before, but like immune, like when you need to be immune to something, that means normally like you got a vaccination shot, right?
Yes.
And that means that when the flu comes around, you're going to be immune to it. It's not going to come up. So it's like figuring out a way to give yourself that vaccination shot to be immune to other people's opinions. That's
and when you
cool.
say vaccination shot, not an actual vaccination shot, but a shot of knowing yourself.
And confidence.
Know thyself.
Yeah.
A shot of know thyself. So let's dive into number 3.
Yeah.
So number 3 is don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and express what you really want. See, now with this thing, I feel like people don't speak, they don't say what they want, or they're just afraid, right?
Well, right as you say that, like I know a lot of times I don't ask for exactly what I want because I think I may not get it. Because if I believe I know you and know how you're going to react to things and I know what I want, I'm going to probably try to talk in a way to maneuver you to what I want you to give me. I'm not going to just be honest with you because I feel like I know you. And I think that's where, life gets messed up and we create a chaos. And that's why you don't have heaven on earth, because you're really trying to manipulate a situation as opposed to just being honest and saying, hey, Vida, what was this? Mm-hmm. Too many other times we add a lot of other things because we're trying to like strong arm someone or move them in a direction in order to get what we want. When a lot of times what we want is just truth and honesty, but we're kind of scared to get it.
Yeah, we want it, and at the same time, we don't want it.
We don't, but we need it.
We need it
because that's what's going to give us heaven on earth. If we're not going to have heaven on earth, if people around us aren't being honest with us, with at least of what their perception or view is of what they're experiencing.
Yeah, even like the whole dating scene, like when you first go on dates with people and everyone like paints this beautiful picture and like, they don't really tell you what they want. They don't really, besides,
Well, when you think,
minimal.
Man, when I was growing up, I heard so many stories but I heard a lot of women telling stories about guys. So I knew everything to
Tell us some.
Oh, man, how we're worthless. Guys are cheaters. We're dogs. So I had decided right then and there that I wasn't going to be like that. But what I actually did is I covered up being like that, and I would always show up as the perfect guy at the beginning. So I knew everything women hated. And I would show up and give you everything that every woman dreamed of, from the glass slipper to opening doors to paying for meals, you name it, because I had the blueprint on exactly how to not have people gossip and talk about me. But then what happens is that ends up backfiring at some point.
Because you're not being authentic.
Exactly. But I wasn't being authentic.
That's what happens to me all the time. I was getting the representative, like, oh, damn it.
Say that one.
I was getting the representative, as the
you're getting
representative.
That's what guys are taught to give women, by the way. Most of the time we're taught to give you the representative because your expectations are like when you go out shopping, you want the best of everything. You're not going to slight yourself for anything. So if we don't show up at what your perception of the best is, we don't have a shot. So it's like we're creating this chaos for ourselves between men and women because women have these standards that we have this list of standards that we have to show up. So when a guy shows up and meet the standards, you go, that's the guy. But you don't even know the list of the other things that he's hiding from you because you said, these are my standards. This is what I'm looking for. When as opposed to showing up and having no expectations.
Yeah, because expectations reduce the joy in life.
They do. And that's tough because I have a lot of expectations I've had to let go of in order to be heaven on earth and in order to live in this place because I had a lot of expectations. I grew up saying you can have this, and that. So I'm like, I want all of that. Now I'm like, I got to let go of all of that. And when it shows up, just enjoy it, but realize it's not about those things.
Yeah. What I've learned is it's a feeling I want to feel, right?
Yes.
Instead of having a material thing, right? And ultimately, everyone just wants to be happy and healthy.
For me, it's a feeling of like bliss and peace.
Yeah.
And even if I have $1,000 or $1 million in bills due, right? Suppose I got car payment, I have all these things done. I still want to be able to find a place where I can feel that bliss and feel light, because those things don't really have to take a toll on me unless I choose to let them take a toll on me. Like I can notice that they're there, but I don't want them to mess with my spirit and my well-being because they're not physically inside of me. They're outside of me. And I don't have control of the things outside of me. Right now, the wind could blow and knock my ass over. But I do have the control of the things inside of me. So if I could ground myself when that wind blows, I have a better chance of standing up for myself. Not saying that a big one might not come along and knock me down. That means I'm dead, I'm done. But if I spent time at least grounding myself, balancing myself, and noticing myself, that when any of those weather and storms come around, you're able to make it through. Because they do. Every year in Florida, right? There's always people move down there and they know every year this storm is going to come around, right? So we're in life and every year we know a storm is going to come around.
Yeah.
And if we have a diary or have like a place where we document things, we can probably look back and go, oh, we have
pattern.
Facebook. We have Facebook. Let's go back and look at Facebook. It'll remind you every year where you were last year, or at least what you were, or at least what you were showing the world where you were at that year. You know what I'm saying?
Which then, when you post it, then that person is actually knowing what the actual truth was.
And it's funny,
and no one's talking about that.
No one's talking about that. A few people post all that stuff on Facebook, and then we kind of, they paste almost, when people paste like a whole story, like 3 pages, I'm like, wow, they really needed a friend to talk to. That wasn't for Facebook. And I realized how often that people are in the house locked up and not speaking to anyone and using Facebook and social media as their therapy.
Yes.
And that's actually really sad. I'm happy that we have it because at least we have a form of therapy, but it's really sad that we can't talk to each other about it. But we can sit there and and have these gossiping stories behind the scenes, but we don't want to actually sit down and have that real face-to-face. Like, we live in a culture and an age right now where people can text things to you and they can send emojis with smiley faces and things of that sort, but it really doesn't convey the real feelings. It's just whatever you wanted me to see or experience. And that's, I don't know, that's a weird place to live in.
I know. And, and also, like, when people are thinking they're the only ones going through whatever they're going through, and it's not. And then everyone is going, like right now, the energy that's happening in the world, from my own knowledge of experience and things that I've done, everyone is, this month is really, everybody's getting really tested.
Yes.
Really tested on their faith, on their dreams, their goals, and realities are collapsing, right? Because if you want to go into a different direction in life, right, you want to experience something different, and the old version of your life you weren't getting those things, right?
It got you to where you were at, which is not a bad place. But
now it's like the people that are not willing to learn and let go, whatever, is like the universe, God, whatever you believe in, is kind of forcing you. And I feel like everyone's experienced that and in their own level, every single person.
Wow.
So like that's so much compassion to have for another person when someone is being crazy or reacting a certain way. You just got to be like, wow, they must really have a lot.
You said it, compassion. That's what we need to learn, because too many times we use the word like victim, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you make someone a victim, you're dramatizing the situation. When it's not about making them a victim or making yourself a victim, it's really about just noticing what is and having compassion for that situation, understanding the feelings and what went involved in that situation, because we've all had those feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I may not have been through that exact situation, but I feel you. I know exactly what you're feeling right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, anyone's heart would open up and be like, wow, yeah, get it. Yeah, you didn't know that my mom beat me. You don't know any of that. But you feel me. And that's what we're all looking for. And that's what we all want. We want people to feel us.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need us to be understood. We're not going to be understood all the time. But you can feel me because we all have the same emotions.
But that comes with someone being authentic and real,
It does,
because
and
everyone is trying to put a face for somebody.
Well, for
And
themselves, they're
it's just
protecting them.
silly.
A lot of times we're protecting ourselves. We're protecting this belief or this self of who we are, and we're not allowing ourselves to be anything else. Like, I was teaching 5th grade math once, and I said something about a student, and the principal was like, don't label them. I was like, wow. And that just sat with me on so many levels, because I realized, how often do I label myself? Mm-hmm. How often do I label other people? And once you put a label on something, it can't be anything else but that to you, because that's your perception now, right?
Well, that was the first one that says be impeccable with your words. It says avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, we're our worst enemy.
We are.
Right? Everyone's the same. And if we beat ourselves up, if someone else is beating you up, it's because you have beat yourself up even more.
And they're just joining in. They're on the bandwagon. They're like, oh, you're going to beat yourself up? Here, I'll help you out.
So think of this. Think of this. Like, okay, remember that one movie? It was animation. The one with the girl that she had Inside Out, I think it's called.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
That was
movie,
a great.
That was all
really
about
deep.
feelings. Like, anybody from kindergarten to 100 needs to watch that movie, because it will tell you so many things.
I want to watch
that
it
you already
again.
know. You already know these things, but it's just nice to see them visually and just put in this way. Yeah.
So everyone, look at life like this. Everyone that you experience in your life is just a community of people that are in your mind. Think about that.
Okay.
And everyone is giving you a trigger point based on your own beliefs and thoughts and conversations that you have with only yourself. Think about that.
Okay.
If you start analyzing it from that perspective, it's really interesting. Like, really, really interesting. So, like, anyone that's out there listening, do a practice for yourself and start to pay attention to the thoughts, beliefs that you have within yourself. Then see how everyone else around you is reacting to you.
Yeah. And that kind of leads to the B on don't make assumptions, is communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstanding, sadness, and drama. And a lot of times it goes back to the first one, be impeccable with your word. Mm-hmm. In order to communicate with others clearly, you have to be impeccable with your word, which means you have to live in truth and honesty with yourself. And that's not always easy, because we lie to others to get what we want. So that means we're lying to ourselves, which it just keeps that cycle. So this isn't easy what we're asking people to do, but what we're really asking you to do is try it out, see how it works, see if it feels different than what you've been doing.
I mean, I've been trying to live this way since I first discovered this book.
Yeah.
And I thought it was amazing. And, it is challenging at times.
It is because
if someone else is not operating from the same software, I should say, right?
But see, that's where the Hicks come in. If you remember Esther Hicks, and
yes,
you know her?
Abraham
Hicks, right? And it's like whenever you're enlightened and you're in a room with someone that you consider unenlightened, it's still up to you to keep yourself in that enlightened place, because if not, you go down to that same level of which they are. And that's the hardest part, because I feel like maybe the 1% that we're talking about, the 1% doesn't have to do with the wealthiest people in the world. It's the 1% that actually move from enlightenment. Those are the real people that have value. The real value in the world is to move from that place, because if everyone would raise to that vibration, to that level, then we are living heaven on earth. Then everyone has a car to drive. Everyone has a home to live in. Everyone has food to eat, because there's definitely more than enough. I mean, we live out here in LA. You can look around every day and see excess. And then you see people with less. So that means it's unbalanced, which means there is a solution, but we're not willing to be honest with ourselves in order to get to that solution, because we feel like we're going to lose something. I'm going to lose this extra $1 million. What is that getting you?
Well, that's when people are insecure and they're basing their identity based on materialism.
Yes. And
So
I'm not saying
you'll
anything's wrong with material.
fall.
Like it's nice to have.
It's nice to have those
The
things.
Egyptians had material
Yeah.
things. They got buried with those
But
material
not if
things.
you're lying, stealing, cheating
Exactly.
to get those things, right?
Yeah.
And another thing that I was just going to say that, no, I just totally forgot it. But, I think it's a Jimi Hendrix quote that says about the power of love, when the power of love is greater than the power of I didn't even want to bring it up because I'm butchering this up.
Well, the power of love is, in most cultures, it says God is love, right? And we all know what love is. Love is represented by the heart. The heart is our first brain. It's the first thing that built everything in our body. And whenever it's not beating properly, or whenever it's beating fast or too slow, it's letting us know that, hey, something's not right here, and I want you to sit here and be with it for a minute. That's moving from love. That's saying, hey, something right now is trying to get my attention inside of me, and I'm going to love myself enough to notice what that is. And that's noticing God energy. That's just noticing energy. It's inside of us, it's outside of us, but we have to be aware and pay attention to it in order to learn from it and learn how to love ourselves with it.
I found the quote that I was trying to say.
Okay.
When the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that. I like
peace.
that. Yeah.
And it's, Bob Marley always talked about it too. It's like, right?
No, Power, the favorite show, right? That show is all about manipulation and control. And what happens on that show every week?
I don't know.
Shit
I've never
falls
seen it.
apart. If you watch Power, there's chaos and drama through the whole show. You know why? Because everything is based upon lies and people trying to get to a place that they believe they need to be at. But in order to get there, they lie, cheat, steal, and manipulate. And the whole show is full of chaos and drama. And that's what we sit back and watch every day, which is great. The acting's great. Everything's good. It's showing us ourselves. It's showing us that if we move in a place of dishonesty and untruthfulness, yeah, we could still have the great things we have in life. But the meanwhile, we'll be in court. We got to worry about people killing us. We got to watch our back all the time. And it's who wants to live like that? No one wants to live like that.
No, because then you can't sleep at night.
No, you can't sleep at night like that. And I sleep well at night.
Yeah, me too. I used to sleep with, there was a meme that says how I sleep like all peacefully. It was like a baby sleeping when I don't have to worry about a man cheating or something like that. It was that was before I had someone. But okay, so the third one in Don't Make Assumptions is with just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's big because it goes back to, like, when you make an assumption, the first thing it says, you make an ass of yourself, right?
Yes.
Because you're assuming something, means you have a couple facts and then you're filling in the rest of it with whatever you want to fill it in with in order to tell a story or make it right. And we do it all the times. Like, we'll see a word and it's misspelled, but we still know what the word is, right?
Yes.
Because our brain, that's the way we're wired. We're wired to fill in and get an answer. But sometimes, why don't we just observe and go, oh, that's what that is. We don't have to fill it in. But we want to be quick to it, right? Everything's quick and learning. You got to be right. You got to be on point. You got to get better. It's like, that's a feeling that, like, we have as Americans. Definitely, like, we're always moving in that way of, we have to get to a goal. And sometimes for me, I realize the goal is just being.
Just be.
Just be.
Be, do, and have.
Yeah, just be for a moment. You know, because even when you get to that thing that you thought that you wanted, that you did want, that you got, when you got there, you still had to be with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you were with it, then you realize, okay, I got that. What's next?
Mm-hmm.
And there's always going to be something next.
The school of life.
Yeah, the school of life. So it's like, let's just enjoy each one of these moments and realize there'll always be another one. There'll always be a next one. And this is just the one for the moment.
I think we're here just to master energy and use it to create our heaven on earth.
We're the only things on this planet that
or
can
God
speak.
gave us the willpower to then create hell if you want to.
Well, when you speak of God in the Bible, it says in Genesis, he said, let there be light, and it was. He's being impeccable with his word. He didn't say, let there be darkness, because if there was, then we wouldn't be here. And if we're all built in the image of God, then we have to speak, let there be light.
Yeah. So you have to know and acknowledge the God in you.
Exactly.
So like in every religion, like Jesus is your brother. Jesus is the same as you, but he just chose, right? Mm-hmm. To be impeccable with his words.
He chose to move in a certain way.
He chose to move in a certain way. And you can too.
Everyone
you can
can
move that way, or you can create another way, as long as it's for the betterment of the world.
It doesn't have to be what we would hope it would be, because you're on this planet and you would want it here for your kids and their kids. So I would hope the things you were doing were trying to keep the planet intact so it would be here for more people to enjoy it. And we all are very aware of the things that we do that do not keep this planet intact. And we have to be honest about those things, you know. And a lot of those things make us money, but they won't allow for the environment to be here for the next generation. And that's very obvious. So.
Well, I think also too, I wanted to touch back on like the gossiping about other people. If you're talking about someone else, then that energy that you're wasting on a person saying something that may not be true, you're wasting that precious time that you can be focused on you, because everything goes, right? Attention goes where energy goes. So if your attention and energy is on someone else, then where are you? So the next time that you want to speak ill or gossip about someone, say, is this really taking me to where I want to go in life? By saying this, by entertaining this. You know, I had to fess up to entertaining, you know, somebody was, you know, kind of talking about someone having bad BO, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, they do. So I engaged in that. And then when I was confronted by the person, I was like, yeah, I mean, this is what everyone says behind your back. Unfortunately, yes, it's wrong. I should have just told you, but I didn't want to hurt your feelings.
You're great like that. But you're being impeccable with your word, and you're being responsible. You're being responsible for the words that you put out there. And because most people, they would come on, oh, dude, I didn't say that. And we're so quick to lie to each other when it's like, no, dude, just man up to it, or woman up to it, or just be impeccable with your words. Let's not man up or woman to it. Let's just be impeccable with our words.
I was like, listen, the girl that knows you, your best friend, said that you, because I said, why has no one told her that she has a really bad BO? And then she says, no, you can't tell her because she'll lock herself up in her house and not want to do anything. She'll get really depressed.
She made an assumption.
I didn't say anything about it, but I still engaged in the, you know, I laughed, you know,
because you were around people, around friends, and that's what they were doing.
And I agreed because it was true. She did have BO, but
it wasn't a solution to the BO. It was just a solution for her to keep coming around and smelling like that while you guys talked about her. So now everyone's living in chaos because you guys are standing around someone that doesn't smell good. That's not heaven, you know. But heaven would be when you walk over to that person and say, hey, you know, maybe, you know, I noticed a little smell this morning. And it's really in a way.
That was in 2006.
You know what, though? As we're talking about this, I realize a lot of times we don't know the way to do things. You just what?
I would just tell them now.
Yeah, you just tell them.
I'll be like, listen, you know, your friend said that it's not wise to tell you, but I don't want you to take this as a negative.
Don't snitch.
I want you to take this as a negative, but the smell is just so bad that everybody talks about it. Like you don't want. And I said, you know, I think it's a problem that's coming from inside of you too, because she had like really bad acne, and we both know like eating dairy causes really bad acne and stuff. So she was very toxic from the inside.
She was acidic. She was very
and you know, after that she was like 186 pounds, and I used to take her to work out with me and cooking right foods and everything, and she would drop down to 130, which was the lowest weight she's ever been. She wasn't in 130. The last time she was 130 was when she was like 12 years old.
Wow. And the smell went away too, right?
You know, I was doing all these things because I really felt bad, you know, so I was trying to, you know, help, just like I always do, try to, you know, be a better version, which she did. And she did become a better version of herself. And, you know, I guess it's a funny thing, you know, when you want to say something, but you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. So, well, I mean, maybe started with that. Like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but this is what happens, and this is what people say. And, you know, maybe there is an underlying problem. You know, it's not. I mean, I know she bathed and stuff, but it was just coming from inside, toxic.
And like you said, you started helping her eat right and things of that sort. And I'm sure it was her diet, because when people smell like that, most of the time it's because they're in an acidic state, which means inside their body it's not alkaline. It's not at a pH that allows for the body to move healthy. So it's literally just giving off like that smell of acid and just like it's disgusting. So a lot of times all we have to do in order to fix that is drink some water, eat some vegetables, and before you know it, because what you're smelling are normally the things that you've eaten, the things that, because you're depressed and you're just, you know, just gorging and eating things, and you're smelling all that coming out of your pores. And really all you got to do is start taking care of yourself. And you helped her start taking care of herself. And I'm imagining, since everyone was talking about her, that's how they've been their whole life, and you made a friend and brought her back to who she really was.
Yeah. I mean, she's definitely much better. So thank God for that.
And that kind of takes me to the next one, which is always do your best. Because you said that was back in 2016. And now 2006. And now you would just tell someone. So it's like, let's not beat ourselves up about the past and how we handle something. Let's just do our best each time now that we become more aware. And that's the fourth agreement is, you know, all these agreements are really important, but you're not going to get them 100% all the time, but always do your best.
So the first one for always doing your best is your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to when you're sick. Yeah.
So for me, that sounds like when you're sleepy, I'm a lot more irritable when I'm sleepy.
Or hungry, right?
Or hungry. Hungry is really a big one. I'm hungry, I can easily snap on you. I definitely need to have food in my stomach.
I feel like I'm pretty the same.
Yeah.
Kind of like, even maybe when I have bad cramps.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be bothered. You know what? I realized that I'm quiet.
That's where I'm at most of the time.
If I'm in pain or something is not right within me, I'm very quiet.
And I tell the people around me.
Around you.
Well, what I've learned to tell people around me is when I'm quiet, I'll be like, hey, I'm just processing something. And I had to find a term because people.
That's a good word.
Because people automatically think it's about them. You know, especially if you're in a relationship and you're like, you know what?
My friends are like, what did I do?
What did I do? You didn't do anything.
Babe,
literally.
I just have really bad cramps and I don't feel like having a conversation right now.
That's it. And you know what? That alone changes everything, because most of the time people are taking it personal.
All the time.
You're sad. It's personal. You're in my space and you're sad. No, it's not personal. I'm literally processing something. I'm going through this emotion. I'm going through it on my own time. If you want to be around, great. If you don't, I understand too. But I'm making you aware that this has nothing to do with you. And that's a language that we all definitely need to practice.
Yeah.
Because it helps, because we all take things personal. It's something we're working on not doing. So it's like you automatically let someone off the hook when you let them know, hey, I'm processing my own anger, my own happiness, whatever it is, I'm working on it over here. Go do you. I'll see you in a little bit, you know?
You know what's so funny, where I've seen my growth too. I remember back in like 2000, I believe it's 2007, I used to live in the Valley, and I was in a parking structure, and there's like a bunch of different like places. Like there's a CVS, but there's like, or Walgreens or one of those stores. And then there was like little shops. but the parking was like very tight, and I had a Range Rover at the time, so it said compact parking, right?
Try to squeeze that baby in there,
I couldn't find parking. Finally, I find parking, but I had passed it. You know how somebody's going into the car, but so like I'm reversing, and there was this lady in a Mercedes, and she, instead of just waiting behind me, she wants to cut as I'm reversing so I can hit her. If
that road rage once again.
And then I'm like, what the hell? I don't even know what I was saying. And she goes to me, you need to calm down. And then I was like, she is right in that moment. And then I never did that again.
Wow.
I mean, one time, this is before anything. This is like maybe in 2000. I was in the parking lot of the mall in Jersey, and a Freehold Mall, and it was during Christmas time, which parking is crazy. And I was like, my boyfriend at the time, I was like, hey, there's a parking spot right there. So, but he had to move back. So there was these kids walking by, and this one girl, she was like 5'7", big girl. She like banged my car, but it was my ex-boyfriend driving it. So I had just gotten from the gym, and I just jump out the car, and I go and attack her. Oh my God.
Yeah. I've been there at Christmas attacking an old lady that stole my parking space that was supposed to be mine.
Really?
And afterwards you're standing there like, did I just do that?
Oh my God. So I have like really strong legs because I do legs a lot. And I like knocked this girl down, and I'm only 5'2", and she's 5'7". Then everyone came to break it up, and my phone went flying, and one of her friends gave it to me. But that's the whole thing. Like, I see my growth from then, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I was like that. And not that I had like problems or anything at that time, but I just wasn't aware of myself, right? Mm-hmm. This is like in the biggest part of my life, as far as career wise, that was the most famous. So it's interesting in that moment because you kind of are just like stressed out with all these new things that are happening to you, right? Because for me, it was a big change, and how to process everything that's happening, and then just being reactive instead of processing, being calm and processing and understanding.
Well, it's kind of when you.
It's it's a bit ignorant.
I think you get once you start working on noticing what your beliefs.
So there's hope for everyone out there.
There's definitely hope, because once you acknowledge what your beliefs are and you try to change them, that's where the processing starts, right? Because before you're just reacting. You're reacting off an old belief system, and something happens to you and you're right in on it. And then you become aware of that.
It's all ego-based.
It's all ego-based. And then once you become aware of that behavior, you go, okay, so now the next time it comes up, you move differently. You do better because you notice and you are better, and there was nothing wrong with the way you handled it the first time. It was just a better way to do it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you can do, basically, and not beat yourself up. Because then, like, if you get off that hamster wheel, right, of that, but then you get into another one, like, of kind of beating yourself up. If you beat yourself up, everybody is going to beat you up.
Yeah, you literally
if you give yourself love, you will receive love. Mm-hmm. So ultimately, you are the director, producer, and writer of your life. All of it. So, like, the stories that you keep saying to yourself are just what your life will be when you want to change the story, right? If you're watching TV or you're watching a movie, you don't like it, you change the channel and see something that you like. It's the same thing with your life. You don't like your current life right now, there's ways to change it.
Yes.
And it starts with you. And taking your part in saying, like, I want a change. And then what do you want? But when you're wanting something, don't want things like a materialistic or power, any of those things, because that all comes from ego, right?
Or just notice that you've wanted those things in the past and where it's gotten you, because we've been, like you said, programmed to want those things. So just notice where those things and wanting them have gotten you, and then go, is there something else that I want? And if there is, then there's a way to get there.
Yeah, I think there's a quote that Jim Carrey, which I would love to have him on the show. He says, "I want everybody to be rich and famous, so they know that that's not the answer."
Damn, that makes so much sense. Yeah, right. That's deep. Right.
That is so good.
I mean, I've been a personal.
That is so true.
I've been personal training out here in LA, and I've had a few celebrity clients, and most people don't realize that they're just like us, and actually they have more stress and more things going on than most of us would ever even want to deal with.
I know. You have to have super thick skin
in order to be a Jim Carrey, to be a Jamie Foxx, to be a Kanye West, to be anyone who has the light shined on them constantly.
Yeah.
You have to have very thick skin.
Yeah, because it's very easy just to sit back from your life and just say, oh, they're this, they're that, they're this. But when you don't know the whole story of someone's existence, you don't know what's in their mind, you don't know what there is in their feelings, then you just don't know.
And you know what? Excuse me. Fuck having thick skin. Like, don't have thick skin. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because look what happened with Robin Williams. That guy entertained us our whole life. We had no idea what was going on with that guy. Even his friends didn't know what was going on with him.
Wait, how did he die?
Suicide, right?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I could have swore. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't keep up with media that much. But Robin Williams died from suicide.
Was it?
Yeah. I want to look it up real quick. Make sure I'm not making a fool of myself here.
Okay.
But,
but yeah,
I just bring that up because I saw a sign on the way in here today, and it said, suicide is real. And I realized that I myself have been around so many people that have been like in depression, and I was attracting that because I look at myself as a healer and a person that likes to help and support people. So next thing I know, I had a bunch of people around me.
Suicide by hanging. He definitely killed himself.
And he hung himself.
Christ.
Yeah. So it's
God bless his soul.
And most of us, if we didn't see that was the way his life ended, we would not have predicted that was the way his life was going to end. But that's because we didn't know him. We just know what he portrayed on TV. You don't know what was going on with that man.
Well, I took a course in Landmark. They have MITT, that's something similar. And this is a self-improvement course that you can take. It's like a weekend kind of thing for self-improvement. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah,
Landmark?
I've heard of Landmark, yeah.
So in the Landmark, it says people have their strong suits. So like a lot of people that are comedians, they have pain in their body, in their heart, in their mind. And they want to make everyone else laugh because they want to give something that they wish they had for themselves, right? But when you're constantly giving, and you're not giving to yourself, then that's when you become depleted, and then the suicidal thoughts come into play. And a lot of people are out there and they're taking these depression medicines, which are giving them suicidal thoughts. So, I mean, we definitely have to have a show on mental health because it's a very important topic.
Well, I mean, if you grow up in an environment where people see you one way and then you go into another environment like you did and they see you another way, it could have been very easy for you to get depressed. Like,
yeah.
Right? I mean, depression was you like, oh, I'm going to go out and be this.
I was super depressed, but I wasn't taking it out on anyone or myself.
You were taking it out on yourself.
I was taking it out on myself but there was that thing inside me that was like, no, this is all for a reason. Keep asking questions. Keep asking questions. Mm-hmm. And the answers will come to you. I mean, I didn't even know what direction I was going.
No, I get that. Yeah.
I mean,
you're just moving
now
towards.
I'm just moving towards being a better version.
I'm moving
than I was yesterday. That's
moving towards lightening up because everything we're talking about is so heavy. Mm-hmm. And when you're depressed, you feel heavy, you feel drained, you feel worn down. It's because you've beat yourself down. You've manipulated yourself. You've just taken yourself to the lowest common denominator. You are at zero. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to be at zero because from zero, you can build anything.
Mm-hmm. There's only one way.
Yes.
And it's up.
It's up. So we can start with 1, 2, 3, 4. for until we get to 10. We can have we have everything. But it's most likely when we went to 0, it's because we skipped steps before. We went from 2 to 4 to 5. We went straight to fame. Like, I've had instances like I was the P90X guy. So all of a sudden, at the age of 30, I was 260 pounds. And I decided I was going to go on this journey of getting healthier. That was it. I just said I need to get better with age. And I did P90X and I lost 60 pounds. And the next thing I know, I'm on an infomercial.
His transformation is amazing.
I'm everywhere. Like, I'm on ESPN every day.
Give people your handle for
check me out
Instagram or Facebook, whatever you got.
Coach Rob Silver. You can find me on Instagram. And you can also find me on Robert B. Silver. So Robert B. Silver, Coach Rob Silver. You can find me and find my story. And that story really changed my life because I realized the energy that I focused on getting myself healthy opened up 1,000 other doors.
Yeah, I mean, your life totally changed.
Yeah, the reason I'm sitting in front of you right now is because I decided to get healthy. Now, I didn't say I'm going to go do P90X and become famous and then people are going to know me. I said, no, I'm going to take care of myself because right now, my body, I'm overweight. I don't feel good. I actually like myself, but I don't feel good. Like, it doesn't feel good to have this much weight on me. And just when I made that decision, life opens up. Next thing I know, I'm acting, I'm coaching, I'm doing so many other things because I took care of me first.
Yeah. And really, at the end of the day, that's all we can control is ourselves.
Yes.
Right?
That's
our
it.
thoughts, our reality, and I'll keep saying it in every single show. So you got to understand,
Yourself.
Right?
Do it for yourself.
Do it for yourself.
Don't do it for the gram.
Don't do it.
Do it for yourself. Don't do it for the gram.
So always doing your best too. Is under any circumstances, simply do your best. You will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. Now, this is very important because you speak about the transformation that you did from being 280 pounds to where you are now, which is what?
190.
190.
So yeah, from 260
so
down
that's
to
like
190
100 pounds. That's a lot.
And I'll be 41 next week, and I did that at 30. So I've been able to keep that weight off for 10 years now.
Yeah, because you did a whole lifestyle change.
Because I did a lifestyle. It took me a year, but it was a lifestyle change because I look at it like wine. I wanted to get better with age. I've always been a good-looking guy. I've been a person that people like to be around, and it was a time when I didn't even want to be around myself because I didn't like how I felt, And I realized that a lot of times the eating was out of depression.
So do you see when you started to eat and gain weight, was that like a dark time, you would say, in your life?
It was a dark time because I had all the money. I was married. I had everything that I wanted. But inside, these weren't the things that I wanted. These were the things that I was programmed to say that these are the things that I wanted. So, of course, I went out for them, and I had the personality and everything to go and get it. So I went and I got it. And I was like, I feel this isn't it. I'm like cheating on my wife. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But I did all these steps to get in this position, and I'm doing everything to get the fuck out of it. So why am I self-sabotaging? Because this isn't what I really wanted. Or maybe it is, but I don't think it was. Because if it was, why would I sabotage myself to get out of it? And it's just interesting. And
those are the questions too you have to ask yourself, right? When you're doing something and you feel like, why am I not going for it? Like, it's always.
And the funny thing is, the whole time I felt like I was winning, but inside I didn't feel like I was winning.
So you were portraying outside,
on paper.
Oh yeah, I'm winning, but then you would be empty.
On paper,
right?
I was great. Yeah, you look at me like that's great, but and I was happy. I definitely have to admit that I was happy, but there were certain things I wasn't taking care of for myself. It wasn't. I was happy once again because I was
yourself 100%. You're like,
I wasn't. I was fulfilling more of other people's dreams than I was fulfilling my own. Because as I'm sitting here talking to you right now, that's always been my dream. My dream has always been able to sit across from a woman and a female and have a discussion where we're not arguing and where we're bettering society as a whole. Because I feel once we can make this connection, then everyone can see that, wow, men and women can have these kind of conversations. And then once we start having those conversations, all the conversations aren't just about sex. Like I told you once, my experience with you is after we had coffee and I went home and I was like feeling so good. And I was like, this is the feeling I normally have after I've just had sex with a beautiful woman. And I'm like, I didn't have sex with Vida, but I'm having that feeling, which made me realize that it was available. Mm-hmm. So that meant that now where I used to always chase going out, having sex with a beautiful woman so I could have that feeling, I realized I could have a conversation with a beautiful woman or just have a conversation with a beautiful spirit and have that feeling afterwards. And I was like, wow, that's so much easier. Mm-hmm. Because
it's all about the connection, right? It's not really the act of sex.
It's not.
Really.
It's not. Now,
and that's one of the shows I want to have about that.
And I'm still working on it. I still look at women like probably like Russell Simmons. Every time a woman walks by, I'm still looking at her butt. I'm still looking at her boobs. Like, I'm not saying that I've turned myself off as a man, and when I see a woman, I don't see her sexually. I do, but I can move in a responsible way where I can still have an adult conversation with you, and we can move past the sexual energy, because the sexual energy is the root chakra. So it's the base chakra. It's where we start. It's physicality. But we talk about an enlightenment, and we're talking about enlightenment. We're talking about heaven here on earth, which means we got to move through all the other energies.
All the other chakras.
And that's what we do when we're having conversations is we start with the physical and we move all the way through until we go, wow, I feel better. I feel enlightened that I got to know you more than on the sexual level today. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's such a deeper level that, I mean,
it's a heightened.
It's heightened.
It's heightened, and
yes.
and as I say heightened, like I watch a lot of Pornhub. I've watched a lot of porn over the years, and I keep seeing different kinds of porn and how people are trying to heighten the sexual experience, choking people, doing. And I'm looking at them like, you guys realize it doesn't get any higher. Like, you're literally just on the verge of death at this point.
Yeah, that's why I want to learn about tantric sex.
Yeah, we're gonna have sex.
It's about energy and connection. It's not really even about having sex. I think that is the ultimate, right? Mm-hmm. To get to that place. But for instance, you were saying about, doing watching the Pornhubs and stuff like that. Now, doesn't that do something to the psyche of a person in the larger scheme of things, right? And like a deprogramming. So in a loving relationship where two people are together, if a woman is not doing all these crazy things that the man saw, then he's not being fulfilled because now his mind has gone there. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about that?
No, I totally agree with you. And for about almost a year, I went one whole year without masturbating, porn. Not doing porn, anything. And
so celibacy? Not
celibacy. When my lady was in the mood to have sex, we would still have sex, but I wouldn't. More what would happen is, like, if my lady wasn't in the mood to have sex, I go to porn. All right, let me get this off real quick and keep going. And then I was like, I'm going to stop that behavior because that's my creative energy, and I feel like I'm just letting it off and giving it away, and I'm going to try. And it was really hard because literally sometimes I feel like I'm always back in the 4th grade and I'm a kid at the desk and my penis just gets hard. My dick is just hard. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with it? Well, porn is showing me whenever I get hard, I'm supposed to stick it into something, Mm-hmm. And right now there's nothing for me to stick it in, but I do have an option to go on here and I can at least relieve myself. And once I stopped doing that behavior, which was very hard, I just started meditating and I started noticing the feelings and the emotions that were coming up. And since then, I've gone back to watching it. But when I watch it now, my perception is different. And I'm looking at it, it's like, oh, this is why I was expecting sex all the time. This is why I had certain expectations. And I had these expectations because I had been looking at porn since I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And now that I went a whole year without watching it, when I went back, I could divide the two and realize it was my fault that I was having all these expectations on sex. Mm-hmm. And that's what was really actually driving to be horny and wanting sex all the time, is because the expectation of it. Yeah. Not the fact that I actually wanted it.
Which made you probably cheat on your ex.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
That, right?
Well, that was partly of it, but that was a point at one point in time where I was a guy that never cheated. I was a great guy, and that's where I stood at. And then I started seeing that women were pretty bad, and they were just as bad as guys.
In what way?
And in a way that they cheated just as much as guys. Okay. So my eyes got open to that. And one day, my ex accused me of liking or wanting to be with another woman, and the jealousy came up in her. And it was the first time I ever saw it. And when I saw it, I got really angry and upset. I punched a hole in the wall. And then from that day forth, I said, well, fuck it. If she's going to believe I'm cheating, I might as well just go get some. Because that's what women believe anyway. I've heard that before
from guys.
And I'm like, I grew up and women were like, guys are dogs and cheaters. So I'm like, no matter what I do, I'm not going to be good enough. So I might as well go out and just get what I want. I might as well go out and have fun, you know?
But that wasn't.
Well, it's not the answer, because what it does is it ruins the relationship between you and that person. Because I didn't.
Now you're breaking the energy. You're creating another. Well,
if I had went to her as an adult and said, you know what, I want to have sex with other partners, then we could have had that discussion, but we didn't. So now I'm lying and I'm moving in a way that's untruthful. So now that relationship can't move the way that it needs to. And I think some people find a way to have like those kind of relationships where they have sex with other couples and things of that sort. And, you know, for each its own. But I feel like if I had been more adult at that time, there could have been another way we could have handled it.
So how would you handle with all the experiences and knowledge that you have now and the groundness that you have? How would you have handled it if you were in that same situation?
The night that she got really jealous and in her feelings, I would have had enough intuition to sit down and be like, babe, that's not what it is. And not make it personal.
And then see where she's coming from. And see where she was
coming from. I never really
some type of insecurity.
I just took it personal and was like, you know what? Fuck you then. I'm going to go do what I want to do. You coming after me. And I'm like, no, actually she wasn't. She was just dealing with her own insecurity. But I wasn't aware of that, because what she had showed me was that she was a boss bitch. She showed me she was a woman that could handle anything. So like we talked about earlier, that guys show up and the first thing they show you is the greatest side of them. Women do the same thing. She showed up and showed me exactly who she wanted me to see. And then when this one woman said something to her, it blew down her straw house. And I saw her straw house get blown down. And I was like, where'd my woman go? Where'd she go? Who are you?
Who is this person?
Who is this person right here that's accusing me of something that I didn't even think about doing? I actually told her about you. And it's weird because women do this. A woman walked over to her and said, oh, yeah, I work with Rob. I didn't know he was married. He's never said anything about you, which was a complete lie. But she was playing her.
Yeah, which some women do that. Yeah. Some women, like, if they want to have one up on you to another woman, it's like this weird competition thing was like, okay, I'm just going to, even if they just want to just fuck around, just to be like, I can have her more.
And she was just hating. And when I look back on it, at the time, my wife was Filipino and this lady was black. And she was probably looking at me. I don't know. We're not going to make assumptions because we just talked about that. But I'm just saying, like, this is the way that we move with each other in society. And that's why we have chaos and why no one's living at peace. Because why would you want to ruin a man's marriage by coming up and saying something like that to his wife? Now, it's not her fault. It's my fault in the way I reacted. But you planted a seed that I didn't go and rip that weed out and be like, babe, I don't know why you were listening to her, but I wasn't aware. Yeah. I wasn't aware of how evil women were or how, I'm not even saying women, how evil people can be. Yeah. Because people can just be very evil and vindictive because
they have that poison inside of them they need to spread it out.
And that's what we call black magic. Because there's white magic and there's black magic. And white magic is pure. It's love, it's trust, it's honesty. When we're speaking white, not white in color and ethnicity, but white in clearness, where everything is relevant and it's right in front of you and pure. But black magic means that we're speaking from a place where we're trying to cover up what we're really trying to do. And we're trying to get over on you. We're trying to do something.
But it's because you're trying to make the person feel bad.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
that. Yeah. That's so why?
And I've been guilty of that, and I've had to check myself, even in my relationship, and be like, wow, sometimes I've said something to my lady in order for her to feel guilt, and I'm like, that's not right. So let's correct that, because we're all guilty of it. So in no way am I judging the lady for what she said, because we've all been guilty of it, but we just got to notice how we move, man, because we affect each other in everything we do. Everything we do.
Every decision, every single thing decision.
It's energy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's right.
I know.
I see you like thinking about it, like
because I want to do a movie. I want to write a movie about that.
Well, we're gonna do a movie about it.
Yeah,
we're gonna do it. That's how Vida and I first met. We met on a short film. It was called "Going Down There."
Yeah,
which was really awesome, and it was fun.
Yeah, so here we are filming this movie, but here we're talking about energy and like being better, and
the movie was about a miscommunication as well.
Yes.
Because, Vida was the girl in the movie, and her boyfriend, who she had been with for a while.
They have it on YouTube, right?
It used to be on YouTube. We took it down.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we took it down, but we gotta find a way.
It
Maybe
was
we'll put
funny.
It back up. It was really funny. But
it was a
like,
time that I was competing, so I was like super lean.
Yeah.
I remember. And it was, the guy, he didn't want to go down on his girlfriend because he had heard all the stories that it was just nasty.
Well, he hadn't heard it. He was just like, you called him up and you're like, hey, babe, why you never do that? And he was like, do what? You're like, go down. And he was like, just never thought about it. And it's like, yeah. And that's another thing, because we were talking about Pornhub earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think about, eating a girl out, giving head, all these things. I don't know how it really meant we were supposed to do those things. I really think we were supposed to just have vaginal intercourse, and because you were talking about tantric sex earlier, right? And that's noticing each other's energy. So there's an energy flow that's going, and for some reason I feel like when my dick is in your mouth, there's no energy flow going there. It's just kind of like a thing that we've done in order to find out another way.
Because you've seen it maybe in a porn thing or whatever, and that's the way to do it. And like the guy slapping the woman or choking them and sticking their finger in their mouth, like all these crazy
different
things,
ways, right? And everyone's trying all these different ways to get off, but we all can get off in one way. And we know what that way is, like when we connect to it, right?
We connect,
When we've had that partner where we've connected and we've made love, we know what that feels like. But a lot of times we want to take a shortcut and get just to that nut, to that sensation, to that feeling, when it's really about the journey, just like life. Life is about the journey. So even myself, I'm working on stop taking shortcuts and enjoy the tantric. And the tantric sometimes starts with just having a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And in that conversation,
it's just breathing, right? Because it's energy. It's a form of meditation, and that's why with the tantric sex, you can actually, now there's two loving partners, and there's really love there. So now look at that vortex of love, right? And you're breathing in unison, right? And you're creating this higher state of being. So there you can manifest so many things. I think that people use the sexual energy incorrectly.
We definitely do. I know I do, and I've been working on the years to start using the right way, and it's getting there. I don't even know what the right way is. Like you said, when you were in that place of depression, you didn't know what direction you were going in, but you were just heading towards something that felt better. So that's where I'm at right now. Like, I'm not telling you guys I found the Holy Grail and I know how not to do certain sexual positions.
This is not about like,
it's not.
Look at us and this is the way. This is more like this is our story and this is what we experience, and there is a way. And you have to ask for yourself, right? Because everyone's on a different journey.
And we're all going through this at the same time.
We are.
You said the energy on the earth right now is a certain way. So everyone's experiencing that energy, but they're experiencing it from their perception on how they grew up in their environment. But we're all feeling the same thing in their belief systems.
So people, they don't know, but we're like in a tipping point of something amazing happening, like maybe heaven on earth.
It is. It's the story that's been written and it's been told, and here we go.
It's almost like it's like creating two different universes, and the people that want to stay in suffering and lower vibrational frequency would be in one universe, and the people that want to vibrate on a higher frequency with love are going to be in a different
No, I don't. I mean,
universe. I don't know.
I don't believe.
I
believe that, like, we've seen cancer, right? We've seen cancer. We've seen AIDS. We've seen all these diseases, and disease is like dis-ease. That means you're not easy with where you are. You're not at ease with it, and I feel like that's been like the purge, because most people that are at dis-ease, it starts in the mind. So there's been people that have had cancer, they've taken something, the cancer's gone away, and then the cancer comes back because the cancer starts in the mind. It starts with an idea. Or everything starts with an idea.
Even when they say it runs in the family, no, it's the same belief system that runs in the family.
Well, as soon as you say it runs in the family, now you're not being impeccable with your word. And you're also, because now you are being impeccable with your word, but you're planning a future that you don't want. And you're kind of justifying that this is how we've been and this is how we're going to be.
Yeah, this is a belief system, but they all eat the same. They all, these are all recipes for disaster to create that. But that's all we have for the show today. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Rob, do you want to say anything?
I just want to say I love the world, and I hope you guys love us, and we want to continue to bring you joy, happiness, and just share these words.
And if they want to follow you, where can they go?
You can follow me on Coach Rob on Instagram. You can also follow me at Robert B. Silver. That's my acting and lifestyle website. And
you can check out the show's Instagram, which is Heaven with Vida. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at Vida Guerra. Twitter and Facebook is all the same. And thank you for tuning in. Make sure to check us out every Tuesday at 3 p.m. and 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time if you missed the 3 p.m. And we'll have a great show for you next week.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Chia.